We're back, Seven Rivers Racing. Dan Dyker now, Losi, KQEG TV, our guest today, which we're going to bring in a couple of moments. Thunderstock extraordinaire, Dustin Bagstad. Also, I heard he plays piano just a little bit. We're going to find out the Chopin in Dustin Bagstad. Recapping last week at La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, the Hornets, what a wild night that was. And I thought the karma was going to play. First, we're going to take you back to the heat race. I was in the grandstands calling this race here with my junior race announcer. Wendy Leach and Jeff Thompson get into it in turn 4. Leach somehow gets both wheels on the side of the 03 of Thompson and does a complete flip. Took her a little bit to get out of the car. She got out safe and sound, and then actually texted me in the booth during the races saying, I'm coming back out for the feature. Crumpled and crippled she did, but she only got about a couple of laps in. Now, that wasn't the only excitement on the night with the Hornets, as they had about 28 cars in attendance. I think they had a total of 33, but some were, they couldn't get back on the track later on. We'll take you to the feature now with the Hornets, and this was interesting. This looked like a demolition derby as I counted 9 cars in turn 2.
Yeah, and I think this was the one where Mark Bornitz ended up on his nose and then came back down.
Bornitz was looking at the ground during that one there, and that really set up a very interesting feature after they got that. As a matter of fact, all the cars involved in that wreck actually made it out. Now, we talk about karma on the show. Drivers that have appeared on this race show have gone on to win a race, one way, shape, or form this year. We had the Eckelbergs on last week. Mandy Eckelberg, through 2 cautions, is winning this race. She, as you see right here, Jake Chalmers is trying to chase her down. Mandy, I'm on the booth saying it's karma. It's karma. Her folks are holding each other and hugging each other. Out of turn 4, Chalmers will encounter some lap traffic. It was Mr. Ron Burrows in the 00 car. How Burrows got underneath the car of Burrows, or Chalmers that is, to pass Burrows and catch Eckelberg at the line was an outstanding finish. But she took second, led the entire race, so we're going to say karma continues.
I think so. I was down there with Jonathan and Kurt watching the race there from the pit area, and oh, were they excited. They kept saying that show's going to get us to win.
And then she didn't, and I caught, you know what, in the pits afterwards. But Mandy, an outstanding job there in the Hornets. So again, the points races, Jay Herbst leads Todd Korsch by 25. That one's going to come down to Oktoberfest. I can pretty much guarantee that. In the Sportsman, Danny Gilster leads Randy Humfeld by 52. He's also leading the national championship points. But after I found out how the point system works, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on to that or not, because there's some drivers out there that still have like 6 to 12 races left before the season's done, and they're racing dirt. Thunderstocks will come down to Oktoberfest. Andy Moore leads Jason Bolster by 10, Brad Wortham by 11. The Window World Hornets, Tim Murphy, Jay Raines, Matt Moore, all tied for the points championship. Mark Bornitz 3 out, Jake Chalmers is 6 out, and the Outlaws' Johnny Olson leads Jerry Ellsworth by 5. Now, very interesting, coming up this weekend at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, never been done before, it's the 8-car Masters race. What this is, and there's a lot of money on the line here as you get through. Volden Construction picked up the sponsorship. The cars will go into separate brackets, so you're going to have 8 versus 1, 5 versus 4, just like you would if you fill out a bracket for the NCAA championship. The 8 drivers, the top 8 in points, will be going after each other. This could be interesting because you're going to see some cars. Nick Clements and Jess Tenner got in, along with Matt Henderson, Brent Kirchner, Sean Paff, Todd Korsch, and Jay Herbst. This is a separate championship here. Who's going to win this is going to be anybody's. I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, this is so new. They're going to be coming up with different ideas. One team's going to do one thing for this. Another team's going to do another thing for this. My first thought is, well, I'm going to take out a lot of the gas to lighten the car up and put something else in there so the car isn't too tight. Put some tape on the front. So we're going to see a lot of different ideas during this match race because it's something we've never done out at La Crosse before. And Chuck does a great job of coming up with these new ideas.
The drivers will go 3 laps head-to-head. Now, the championship will be the best 2 out of 3, with those drivers going 3 laps as well. So this is coming up this Saturday night. It's the first annual Masters La Crosse Late Models Championship race, and this one ought to be a dandy. One driver I'd like to sure see in that, then maybe one of these days we'll get him on a late model. I don't have the money for it, but I'm sure with his driving expertise, he's going to be able to. Last year's Rookie of the Year in the Thunderstock class of lacrosse, running very fine this year, just on the outside of the top 5 in points, running 6, Dustin Bagstad. Dustin, glad to have you.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys, for having me.
Well, I do want to just say something right off the bat. If you didn't get a chance to look at, would have been about a week and a half ago, the Lacrosse Tribune in the sports section did a fantastic article on Dustin, and it was a neat piece because the color picture was Dustin in his race suit, helmet and gloves, but they're sitting on top of a piano. And one of the things I love about the job I have in auto racing is to learn not only what the drivers do and their teams do on the track, but what they do in the off season and what they do off the track. And music is a huge love of yours.
Yeah, music's been a part of my life since I was 5 years old when Mom first put me into the piano lessons. The first thing I want to say, though, is I just want to thank Jake Wannick for doing the interview and not Jeff Brown, so I didn't get the Jeff Brown curse this week. I would like to thank him for that first. But music, once I started at 5, it just kept being a part, then would join choir in middle school, and eventually just, especially with the piano, the skill set grew, and pretty soon I was playing regularly for singers, for church, for weddings, for whatever. And it's grown my whole life, and now I'm in my 3rd year at Viterbo studying music education, and will eventually get to do that for a full-time gig.
Now, how old were you when you did your first recital?
My first one would have been when I was 5.
Oh.
They, our piano teacher would get everyone together a couple times a year, and we'd all get to do a recital together. So.
Now, it's interesting because a lot of people got to know who you were last year after you captured the Rookie of the Year. But the article comes out, and I've had so many people come up to me, whether it's at the go-kart track or at the raceway, and say, I would have never thought that a race car driver and then piano concertos. It just doesn't mix too well, but it was an outstanding article.
Well, and it's been fun from that end. The people in the racing community that I've got to know have just been surprised of what else I do in life, but also the people who know me as the piano player, Dustin, have come up to me and gone, I read the sports page and you were in the sports page. and they couldn't believe that this is what I was doing on Saturday nights.
Well, Dustin Bagstad out of the Thunderstock Group racing at the Lacrosse Speedway, our guest in the program. We're going to show you some video of him on the other side of this break and to talk more about how he combines music into racing and vice versa. This is the Seven Rivers Racing Show here on KQEG TV.